Welcome to episode 6 of the Only Football Fans podcast. So, last night we recorded the J-Tab interview, which was put out today. Yesterday, once you'll be hearing this, because it's come out tomorrow. We've had some good response from that so far. It was a cracking interview. Thanks for sorting that out, Greg, as well, mate.
No worries.
That went really well. So, hopefully we get a few more interviews like that coming your way as well. We've got Gareth Graham, who was mentioned actually by Jay in the interview yesterday. He's coming next week for an interview. So, based on what I've heard about Gareth, that should be quite an entertaining one. So, we'll keep churning out some interviews as well as the usual episodes as well, guys. But let's get sort of straight into the reaction from weekend's fixtures, which I'm reluctant to do. We'll start with probably someone else who's even as reluctant as me. We'll start with you, Greg, with the first one of the weekend, which was Leicester-Liverpool. Leicester winning the game 3-1. What's your thoughts, mate? Obviously, we heard you on the stoop with Lolo after the game. So I've got a rough idea of how happy you were with it. But over to you, mate. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, mate. As you know, as I said to them guys on that episode there, that 2 minutes in, there was a mistake straight away, and I was like, oh my god, here we go again. Bit of a mix-up, Trent and Curtis Jones, and then Maddison obviously tried that audacious shot, and I was just like, please no, not again. But then things calmed down after that, and I thought we kind of controlled the first half. It was all right, but we still weren't doing a lot. I think Mane and Salah both had a lot of opportunities that they probably could have done better with, but it was a bit of a boring first half. And then obviously that goal, Firmino's flick was just unreal, and that's the good side of him. It's unbelievable. And then obviously the finish.
It was a phenomenal assist, mate.
Yeah, and obviously it just fell into Salah. He didn't even move. He just literally had to swing a leg at it, and he didn't even hit it that hard. Do you know what I mean? He literally just placed it, and Kasper Schmeichel was being as good as he is. He's just stretching. He's just nowhere near it. But that's as good as it got, really, obviously for us. And then, in the words of Alan Hansen, a total capitulation. 7 minutes, 3 goals. It's like Sunday League stuff, isn't it? And then, the mistake at the back, whether it was he can't talk English or Alisson's fucking speaking Brazilian to him, I don't know. But that mix up there is obviously it's his first game and that. I'm not really blaming him, but I think it must be getting to Alisson now. Obviously, them mistakes against City, the total change in defence all the time, and it's just he's made some. He's probably trying to atone for his errors at City, and then it just made it even worse, kind of thing, And obviously, Vardy's walking it in, laughing. It was ridiculous, really. But yeah, what'd you say?
Do you think that, early on, I think it was only about 15 minutes in, Milner coming off and Thiago coming on, do you think that hurt you?
I don't know. It's hard, really, isn't it? Because obviously the game was only just planning out, when Milner went off, and then obviously Thiago comes on and he does what he does. We've obviously chatted about it between us before. I mean, he's so good to look at, and when things are going forward, brilliant. But the recovery is just non-existent. And I think even watching some of the highlights, they were highlighting even Firmino, who is normally dogged on it all the time. Even he was lackluster in his getting back and stuff like that. His trying to retrieve the ball was non-existent. So it's obviously running through the team as a whole.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't. That 7 minutes is a joke. For a team of our caliber, whether we've got players out or not, 3 goals, 7 minutes is just inexcusable,
Yeah,
I liked it.
Well, I was going to come to you actually, Carl, because you predicted it, mate, on our last episode.
I did. Thank you very much.
You called the 3-1, so hats off to you.
Well, I want to take the full credit for it, but I'll be honest with you, I just wanted to go a bit bit left wing with it, or left wing, right wing, whatever you want to call it, just a bit different. Everyone else was going Liverpool. I actually fancied Leicester. I did. Did I think it was going to happen? I don't know, but the way Liverpool are playing, anyone can beat them 3-1 at the moment. To be fair, so
apart from like
Leicester are good. Leicester are a top side. They are a top. There's actually no shame whether you're playing well or not to lose 3-1 to that Leicester team.
They can hurt
they're
anything.
decent. Exactly. Yeah, I think they've got such a complete, stable squad. Like it just works. It's not probably the best man for man, but as a whole, and what it is, it's such a strong side, so strong.
Like we actually hinted on, like the reason I actually went with Liverpool, I thought Leicester might be hurt by like the upset in the back line with that James Justin being injured. And you mentioned like Pereira coming in should be all right, should be solid, and Castagna. But Castagna was actually injured as well, and they've replaced both fullbacks. Like Daniel Amati come in, and Ricardo Pereira, and they didn't look like they had changed any personnel. They just slotted in fine. Yeah. Matty, what's your opinion on how it went, mate?
I didn't watch the game live. I only saw the highlights of the game, but I just wanted to ask Greg, if you were Mr. Klopp, would you have benched Alisson for that game, or would you have kept him in?
What, for the Leicester game?
Yeah, just based on his current form and sort of how things are going for him personally.
The thing is, obviously, like he's obviously fucked up in the Leicester game, which made it 2 on the run. But apart from that, it was just the mistakes against Man City. And like as I like I said before, he's been pretty much everyone's call for like best keeper in the world for quite a while because he's been so consistent. And then obviously they're proper major mistakes. But no, I wouldn't have dropped him. Like you've got to keep him in just because he had one bad game. But obviously it turned into 2 now. Like where the mistake came in, and even silly little things. I think like even for the first goal, obviously like the good bit of Firmino was the flick, but then the worst bit of him is that he's trying that flick in our own half.
Yeah.
And then we lose possession. They go and get a free kick / penalty. Like it was so close. I mean, it was so close to the line, but it didn't matter anyway. Obviously they went and scored. But again, just go into that free kick, his decisions, why he didn't push the team. He had the team sitting on the 6-yard box defending, like Maddison's obviously going to whip it in. And if they're on the 6-yard box, they're on top of him. He's got no chance. If he had pushed him up to the penalty spot, you only give James Maddison one option then, is to pretty much shoot.
Yeah.
And
don't want to
he's got, and then, but again, if by sitting on that 6-yard box, you're giving him a chance to whip it in, and if no one gets a touch, it goes in like it did.
Yeah.
Like, and the ball's on top of Alisson before he knows it. Whereas if it's just a shot, it's a bit, it makes it that little bit harder, even though he's got that in him. But I just, some of the decisions as well, like obviously where he's been a bit lacking, obviously from the City game, and then that fuck up with Kabach. But no, I wouldn't have dropped him. No.
So also sort of following on from that, I think I don't know if I touched on this. I don't know if it was off air before. I watched an interview with Arsene Wenger on beIN Sports about how Liverpool play without Van Dijk. I mean, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it's just a fascinating insight into what he thinks about the dynamic of Liverpool when Van Dijk doesn't play. Henderson being normally 10, 15 yards in front of him, and Van Dijk is marshalling everyone. I'm not saying Jordan Henderson doesn't do that, but when you've been taken out of your current position in centre midfield to then play centre half in the Premier League, it might, although you could say any class player could just drop back, you and I know that it's not that.
Of course not. And one of the worst games to probably do it in as well because of who he's facing up against, like Jamie Vardy. And do you know what? To be fair, he actually did all right up until obviously that point of the goals. I think he only probably got caught out once when Alisson came out and sort of flaffed, but got away with it.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the only times I'd say that until the 7 minutes that Jordan was like in a little bit of trouble. But again, it was okay. Before they scored, it was okay. But then as soon as they scored, mate, the confidence obviously just drained. And then
I think you could see...
Game over.
You could see in the body language of the Liverpool players that mentally they look defeated.
Yeah, but I think
The last goal being the prime example, Harvey Barnes. He had a free run at it. Thiago weren't even looking where he was going. Just ran straight past him. He didn't even get near it.
He was ball watching because he's looking at the play a bit further on, and then Harvey Barnes just drifted right part. Then he didn't even tell. I think it may have been Trent. He didn't even tell Trent that he's there.
No, he's passed him on or whatever.
Yeah. So it was.
Let's go over to a few of the other boys. Their sort of thoughts on it. Strug, what's your opinion?
Yeah, you were just saying about the body language of the players and stuff, but I think it's been like that all season with Liverpool. Like, there's something missing from the team that was so good last year, and it ain't all just down to a couple of injuries. Like Van Dijk, obviously, he's a big miss, but like Liverpool last season, they didn't give you a chance, did they? They were just pressing you.
Since that Watford loss, I think, a lot, when they lost their unbeaten run.
Yeah, it did seem to go from there. But, I mean, against Leicester, I think Tell made a good point about Milner coming off. And he's, 35, 36? But he's still got that in the locker. He's going to keep pressing here, and he's got a bit of energy about him. As soon as he went off and Thiago come on, he's just, like someone said, he was just ball watching. And he does, every time I've seen him play, he's just ball watching. I don't think he's suited to the Premier League. I don't think he likes the pace of it.
The work rate doesn't seem to be there, or his body is not capable of.
Like we mentioned it before, didn't we, Greg, when we spoke about him before, saying he's not really a Klopp player and he doesn't really fit the Liverpool way at the moment. He's more of a sort of like a luxury, really. And I think when you're missing your catalyst and in your Van Dijk and a couple of other major players, I think you can't afford any passengers. And I think you're carrying him at the moment. I think you'd be better off even playing someone like Curtis Jones ahead of him, to be honest.
Well, he did. Obviously, Curtis Jones.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah.
He came off right before they actually scored.
Yeah.
And I was just about to sort of say that, like, you know, he's brilliant. I love him. Obviously, like, again, he's like coming through the academy and he looks like an absolute player. But like, he's like 19, 20 years old. So we shouldn't be relying on him ahead of someone like Thiago.
Yeah, well, the caliber of player that Thiago is, but Klopp's obviously seen it's not working as well to have dropped him, because I'm mentioning it as if he didn't do it, but it's only an injury which brought him into that game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
I just think obviously Thiago might have to play a different role, even obviously when like Fabinho and Jordan Henderson go back into midfield. He might have to play in that 10, even if he's going to get a game at all.
Drop Alisson and throw him in goal, see what he's got.
he might be just as good.
Pat, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, just touching on what Boyle was saying about Liverpool being a different team without Van Dijk in the team. There was a thing on before the Champions League game yesterday. Punditry was saying, like, it just highlights the job that like Ronaldo and Henderson do when they're playing centre mids. Liverpool basically play with two defenders when Van Dijk's there, because Robertson and Trent are pushed on. Yeah. But like your three centre mids will drop back and fill that space of the wingers.
Yeah, they cover.
Whereas now they're playing centre back, the people in the centre ain't doing the job that Henderson and like Ronaldo would have done last season.
They have,
and that's where they're coming unstuck and getting caught out of the back so much.
And this is where I think Trent and Robertson have suffered a little bit, as in their confidence. Because I mean, their assist record between them two. I mean, they was having a competition last year about who could get more. You know what I mean? And then this year, obviously, they've struggled.
Who
and
can get the ball away more between them two?
Well, yeah, basically. But what you're saying is right, Pat. Like with Van Dijk not there, and obviously with the communication and that, and Wijnaldum and Henderson not being. They just obviously know their role inside out. And if they see Trent goes, one of them steps over and then the other one steps into, you know, either like vice versa with Robertson and stuff. And it's just obviously not happening at the minute. And they've suffered for that as well.
Over to you, Dave.
Yeah, it's just following up to what you're saying on that. It's like the style that Liverpool play when they're at their best, when everyone's 200 miles an hour, with a high press going, even when you got your first choice out there, just the smallest percent of drop off, it all breaks down and has such a massive effect on the overall performance. So when you've got integral people missing, there's no surprise. It's just not going to be on the same level. And there's a stat that I picked up on during that game. They said Kabak and Henderson with the 16th centre-back combination you've had this year, which is unreal. So, I mean, when you couldn't be playing against a worse team as it turned out. So I think Liverpool have been under par this season, there's no doubt. But this game, they shouldn't really judge everything on this game, like, because they were all right in spells, especially seeing as they were like undermanned, so to speak. And like we said, Thiago, very high caliber player, but in that setup, he obviously it's a totally different level. But it's how Arteta just was like to Ozil. I don't really care how good you are on the ball. If you're not going to run, you're just useless. I might as well have like no one playing. So it might be the same. You're right. He's going to have to play a different role if he's going to fit in with that setup.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we'll bring that sort of to a close on the Leicester-Liverpool game, guys. Obviously, we'll cover them more, Greg, when we come to our predictions for the weekend, because you've got a big game coming up with the Merseyside derby. But
big game.
Yeah,
mate.
Massive. But we'll move on to the next fixture, which was Pat's boys, Crystal Palace, getting completely fucking spanked 3-0 by Burnley. So what the hell have you got to say to yourself,
mate? Just another outstanding performance, wasn't it? Really.
Total football.
I mean, I don't know what Roy's saying in the changing room before the game. Or anyone. There's no leader there. No one's geeing them up before, because that's the third game in a row we've conceded in the first 5 minutes. It's like they're coming out and they ain't ready, and they're taking too long to wake up and get into the game. And once we go behind, very rarely do we go on to get anything out of the game. So three games in a row conceding in 5 minutes is just shocking. Like, I mean, at halftime it was that bad. I thought about putting rugby on. Just like, it was unbearable, mate. And then same thing second half. Like, again, they come out scoring the first 5 minutes of the second half. It's like, what is going on? Why is there no there's no get up and go? There's no leadership. There's just nothing. There's nothing at the back. I know we've got an old squad, but it's just poor. Like, it was just as poor as the Leeds game, and I didn't think I'd see us play that poorly again. So, I mean, there's not really much I've got to say on it, to be honest. Like, again, I sound like I'm sort of beating the same drum all the time, but for me, the players ain't playing. Like, half of them are out of contract in the summer. Whether they want another contract at Palace or not, you think they're gonna? You would think they would want to play to impress another team somewhere, or at least play to impress to try and get another year or two at Palace. But for me, if Roy's not going to be there next year, why not bring someone in now, so they've got the last half of the season to assess the squad they've got, see what they want to change in the summer to get ready from a fresh start next year, really.
Yeah.
I reckon if the fans were there at the stadiums at the moment, Roy would be gone. But because there's no pressure from the stands, the club ain't sort of feeling the pressure to get rid of him.
I understand where you're coming from now. I'll come to you in a sec, Strug. I think a few weeks ago when we spoke about this, we was like, that had probably been a good move, because you look like safe as houses, like the bottom three were offering nothing. But now when you've got Fulham in a bit of form, they've only lost 1 out of 6, Fulham, and it only needs them to win a couple more on the bounce. Like, they're only 10 points behind you. And the way you're going, it doesn't look like you're going to be picking up many points. Like, you could eat yourselves and Newcastle, for me, because Newcastle missing Wilson, you missing Zaha. I think both of you are going to start looking over your shoulders in the next couple of weeks. But so I think it might be one of them. They might want to stick with a bit of what they know with Roy until they know that they're safe, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I do think we could end up, I don't think we'll get dragged into the relegation battle, but I definitely think, we'll get dragged a lot closer than what we should have been a month ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Strugger, sorry, mate. Over to you now, mate.
It's all right, mate. watched the game, I'll be honest. I mean, it's one of them games. If it ain't your club, you've got to be some sort of pervert, and you to sit there and watch it. But I mean, I was surprised when I saw the score because I knew Palace weren't playing well. We spoke about it enough on here. But Burnley are Burnley. I can't remember the last time they scored more than one goal, let alone three. So it must have been bad. But what I wanted to ask you, Pat, was a couple of weeks ago we was talking about Eze and Zaha and that, and I think you said we said who would you rather keep going forward, and you said Eze. Is the last couple of weeks without Zaha change your mind on that?
Good question.
Yeah.
No, purely because I think what we need to do in the summer is if Zaha goes, rather than replace him with one man you build the team around, which is what we've had since we've been back in the Prem, is you need a spine. Like you need 3 or 4 players that you can depend on so that if that one man is missing, the team have still got other options. Like at the moment, don't get me wrong, like we're a much better team with Zaha in the team, but we therefore rely on him for everything. And that's why as soon as he's gone, we've got nothing. So yeah, I'd still choose Eze as long as with the money they got from Zaha, they put it onto, at least 3 decent players.
I think it's a good call. Like we mentioned before, Strug, with West Ham going for someone like Ivan Toney. Like if you sell Zaha for decent money, go and get him and a couple of others. I'd say from the Championship even, you could solidify and strengthen your whole team, and you're a stronger.
Yeah,
outfit.
I think we need an out and out goal scorer, a young but solid centre back. Huh?
You got Benteke?
A young solid centre back, and then just someone to boss that centre mid, and then you can build the rest of the team around that. And as long as you got those positions sorted, everyone else can go missing a little bit here and there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Greg, what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, no, just going to what Pat said, like obviously conceding early in that, I just find it hard, like, because although like Gary Cahill he's old in that, but he's the perfect sort of player. Like he should be on the players. This is what we've got to do. Early doors, get involved, not concede. You know what I mean? And then players like him, you've got your experience there. I find it hard that you are doing that when you've got players like that there.
He's still trying to find Rafinha. That's why.
Well, I know that obviously, that obviously killed him. But I mean, he's been there and done it. Do you know what I mean? And when you signed him, he's kind of like a big player that you.
Mate, yeah,
I just think you should be doing better with, even though he's not the greatest and he is older. Like he's got that experience to just
won the Champions League, didn't he, Ben?
Yeah.
I was waiting, boys. Come on.
Team them up. Yeah, I agree. Like, sort of between him, obviously Tompkins is out injured at the moment, and Scott Dan.
And check Tiote.
Yeah, your man was back the weekend, wasn't he?
You got 3 experienced centre-backs there that should be, even if they haven't got the ability they used to have, they should be geeing everyone else up around them and just commanding them and saying, look, I ain't got the legs to catch him, but that's your fucking job. You do it. And just barking out orders. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, mate.
Coasting people through the game. That's what I'm saying, like with their experience and stuff. And just to know that, like, they don't beat us in the first 5 minutes, lads. Like, we've got to earn the right and stuff like that. That's always said. And as you said, they should be ready. They should be, I don't know. It's just, it's a sucker punch, like, especially for a team like Burnley to come and do that.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing losing 3-0 to Burnley.
Who's the captain?
Look like fucking well beaters and all, mate. Boyle, over to you, mate.
Yeah, just sort of touching on like Burnley, like I think it was Strug that said whenever they ever scored more than 1 goal in a game, like they're just. I don't understand Palace without Zaha. You can't just have the mentality that you're gonna just not try and win games because he's not playing. It's just. I read a quote somewhere again. I don't know how true this is about Roy Hodgson saying he's just not bothered if he signs a new contract or not. And that just sends the wrong message to the players. I mean, Palace have got I just looked it up. Palace have got 29 points. So they're not safe by any stretch of the imagination. Like Tel said, if they don't start picking up points in the next couple of games, if they get dragged in with Fulham and Newcastle, and from what I've seen, Fulham look a very good outfit. They just had a mare in the first 15 games. Last 10 games, Fulham have played really well. And obviously they picked up another point tonight. They were in the lead for quite a bit.
Oh, did they play tonight?
Yeah,
Burnley,
1-1.
yeah.
1-0 with Burnley.
Burnley.
There you go.
They were winning the game as well. But Fulham look like Fulham are picking up points every single game. They're unbeaten in their last 6 away games. That's not relegation form. So
Yeah, they're not losing, are
you
they?
must be worried that you're going to get dragged into it, surely.
Yeah, I think our next 2 games could be vital. I think we've got Brighton and then Fulham, or Fulham then Brighton, either way round. And I think
Massive.
we need 4 points out of them. But without Zaha, like, honestly, and on the last 2 performances, I just can't see it happening.
No,
And then, yeah, I mean, the whole Roy Hodgson thing, I think he's come out and said, like, he's not ready to retire and he would like to stay. But I think he's well aware that a lot of people, well, a lot of fans at least, think it's time he went. And I think the board are well aware that the majority of fans, and I don't think they'll sack him, but I think they'll sort of let him go amicably at the end of the year.
You
Well, I mean,
mentioned... Sorry, Matty, go on.
Like, what is he, 73 or 74 years old? I mean,
Something like that. Oldest manager ever in the Premier League.
manage at that
Older
age.
than the Bernabeu.
And like
Just
touching on what,
chill indoors with the missus and enjoy your retirement. It's probably going to be brown bread in about 3 or 4 years. Like, you know what I mean? What's the point?
Yeah, that's what probably will kill him. Stopping. He's probably
Yeah, it will.
petrified to stop because that'd be the
Yeah,
thing
maybe
that
he
kills
is
him,
because his brain might just switch off. I don't know. I just think it's strange to be managing at that age. I really do.
Yeah.
he's just
He's had a great
gotta
career in
think,
football
like-
as well. He's managed some big clubs. People forget he was Inter Milan manager, wasn't he? So
Yeah, he was, yeah.
yeah, he's
And it's all
International
over
as well.
Europe, mate.
International, Switzerland, and stuff like that.
Yeah. You touched on your next fixtures, Pat. Your next 4 games will pretty much sum up whether or not you're going to get dragged in or not. You've got Brighton away, Fulham at home, Tottenham away, West Brom at home.
wow, that's huge.
There's some 6-pointers in there. Do you know what I mean? If you don't pick up wins against like your Brighton, Fulham, and West Brom, they're going to be the ones that are going to be catching you. So
yeah, that's it. And like sort of going on what Boyle just said about, without Zaha, they just don't look up for it and they're just going to get beat. It's like, even if you don't think for whatever reason that you can't win without Zaha, don't get fucking beat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Play out a boring 0-0. Just keep it tight. Like, you'll get 1 or 2 chances and something could happen. But conceding 3 to Burnley and just, not being able to... I think we've had like 2 clean sheets all year. It's like a Roy Hodgson team is, traditionally tight at the back, boring football and hits on the counter. But we can't even do that.
yeah.
We
Ben,
was
over
like
to
that
you,
with
mate.
Cam, to be fair.
Oh, you Ben here?
No, sorry, Carl. Is it all right if I talk, mate?
Put your hand up. go
Fucking
on.
airline.
No, wait, is that both of us? No, sticking with Palace for a minute. I can't believe Palace are only. We're talking about Palace like this, but they're only 5 points behind Arsenal. This is what we're talking about, yeah. And we're caning Palace, and Arsenal are only 5 points in front. So, I mean, I think Palace have overachieved a bit earlier on in the season. Let's cut them a bit of slack. Let's dig out some other teams, I think. And while we're talking about Palace, who's your captain, Pat, at Palace?
Milivojevic.
Okay, all right. I was just interested. That's all.
He's
That's
quizzing
it.
you. He's trying to catch you out, isn't he?
Check the out.
I rate him.
Great news.
Greg, over to you, pal.
Going back to like what we were saying about, there's 14 players out of contract this season for you.
Is
Like,
there?
Yeah,
Wow.
they've got 14 players running out of contract, and obviously Roy, like, stalling on whether he's stalling or not. I don't know whether it's the club.
Roy's out of contract and all, that's why.
Well, oh right, he is out. But 14 players, like, and like what you're talking about, if you get rid of Wilf, that becomes 15 plus he's your best player.
Yeah.
How then?
What?
How then?
No.
how then are you going to replace with that money them players plus trying to get in another player of maybe not the same caliber, but you know, you've got to try and get in a couple of players that are maybe just that pool of players below to try and sort your whole squad out as such.
Yeah, and I think that just shows it's been pretty poorly run by the board to let it get to the stage where half your squad effectively are out of contract. And you know, even if you go and keep 5 of them, that's still 10 players going.
Yeah.
And how they say they're tight on funds, and that's why they haven't refreshed the squad and brought in younger players for the last couple of years. But now all of a sudden, you're going to have to go and either bring kids through that ain't ready, or go and buy second-rate players because you haven't got the funds, and then you're looking at a guaranteed relegation scrap next year.
So you won't even get any money for those players either.
I'm just
exactly, yeah.
I've just got up the names of the players that are out of contract. I'll just run you boys through them quickly that are out of contract at the end of the season. So you've got Batshuayi, but you have an option to buy him. Jeffrey Schlupp, Sacco, Townsend, Benteke, Van Arnholt, Tyrick Mitchell, James McCarthy, James MacArthur, Nathaniel Klein, Joel Ward, Scott Dan, Martin Kelly, Gary Cahill, Wayne Hennessy, Connor Wickham.
Yeah,
that's the whole starting 11, isn't it?
That's pretty much your team.
That's a championship team right there.
Yeah, there's 7 there that I would like to see stay. Even I'd say probably only 3 of them are getting in the first team.
It's mental that Tyrick Mitchell's out of contract. Like he's only just broke in. How have they not?
Yeah, exactly. Like they've obviously given him some like little short deal as his first contract, but it's like
someone has snapped him up. He's only 21 and he's good.
Yeah, even if that was the case, if they gave him his first like senior contract a year and a half ago, or whatever it was he broke through, don't let it get to the last 6 months, because now technically any of them players are allowed to, they're allowed to chat to any club outside of England, aren't they? So
yeah,
I think PVA's already said that he ain't interested in staying. He wants to. I think he wants to try and have one last year in Europe or whatever. Sacco, he'll be gone. Batshuayi, I'd be very surprised if they signed him. And then you've got players like Scott Dan. Again, he could do a job as a backup, but he's not. You know, he's not first team material. Do you know what I mean? Like,
34 years old now, no.
Yeah, the only ones I'd really want to see is like Tyrick Mitchell, Jeffrey Schlupp. Fucking, I don't think he's played in about a year and a half anyway.
How's he still got a contract? He must be about 40 by now. He's been around.
I think he's still only like 26, 27, but he's just constantly injured, isn't it?
Yeah, he's 27, Connor Wickham. Loves an injury, the fella. Kyle, over to you, mate.
You know, I just want to go back to the Will Zaha thing. Obviously, with all your players you've got out of contract, even the money you make on Zaha, if you was to sell him, which I don't think you're going to get anywhere near what you'd have got last year anyway. I'm pretty sure United get a cut of that anyway. Whatever you get,
it's like 15%.
So you're not even going to have the full fee for what you get from him to spend on a player anyway. And the Ivan Toney thing, yeah. It's nice to talk about him, but I'm not being funny. If Brentford come up, you've got no chance of getting him. I'd rather stay at Brentford. I actually think a bit more of a stable club. I know they're not in the Prem yet, but he's going to have a year in the Prem with Brentford. He ain't going to leave them if they come up, and they're obviously doing quite well.
I think
I don't know where you go. I really don't.
Even if Brentford don't come up, a team will come in. There'll be a lot more appealing than Palace. Yeah, like even like a West Ham, yeah, exactly, yeah.
This is the problem. I don't think you're looking like you're going to get players. So
yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. Touching on what you said about Zaha, is last year what baffled me is like obviously knowing that there's a sell-on clause or percentage to United. Apparently, Palace got offered 50 mil plus 3 players for Zaha last summer from Everton. It's like, well, that one takes a big chunk out of what you've got to give to United. Plus, it's like, you know, I don't think they were the best players, but we ended up buying McCarthy for 10 mil from him anyway. He was one of the players. There's that Cenk Tosun, and then I can't remember who the third one was. So it was all 3 players that probably would have done a job for us this year.
Yeah. Go on, Greg.
Yeah, no, just back to the Brentford thing, mate. Like, obviously, like, Strug, how much did you buy Ben Rama for?
20 million, I think.
They haven't
20 million.
Yeah.
It's a bargain.
Loan to buy,
again, no, haven't you bought him now?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we loaned we only had 2 domestic loans. We loaned Lingard and then just paid up for Ben Rama.
So you paid up for him. Yeah, no. So again, 20 million, right? So even if what Kyle was saying, even if they come up, they're probably not going to get him anyway. But even if they don't, he's probably gone and because he's more of a goal scorer than Ben Rama. And what they sold Watkins for.
Well, that's what you've got to tie it in with. Watkins, what was he, 35 mil? And he's scoring more goals than Watkins.
Yeah, he's come in and he's absolutely smashing it. And you've got to look at that sort of price tag. Palace ain't playing. They're not paying that anyway.
No chance.
So, I mean, it's a bit of it's nice to talk about, because he's a championship striker. You'd hope to think that you probably could get him, but you're talking about them players going for that money now in the championship. So
yeah, Brentford ain't cash strapped, mate, because they make money every year on players.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't see Palace even going for that sort of caliber of player.
Boyle, go on, mate.
Just quickly on Wilfried Zaha, Pat. How long has he got left on his current contract?
I think it's still quite a while. I think they signed him to like a 5-year deal maybe 18 months ago. So I think it's a good 2.5, if not 3 years. But contracts don't really mean nothing at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Other than the fact that he ain't going to go for free. If he wants to go, he's going to be gone. I think the club have said the last couple of transfer windows, like if a European playing team come in, then they'll listen to offers. But they said they're not willing to let him go. Like they said they wouldn't let him go to Everton last year because they ain't playing European football. And his biggest thing is he wants to test himself at the next level.
He's I just had a look, Pat. It's till June 2023, so 2 years left basically after this season.
Because I know recently he changed agents. I don't know if you know this, but he signed to Rock Nation. Do you know that?
Yeah. I see that.
I can imagine them being in his ear roll in the summer, saying, "Look, like
Palace ain't
it's time for you to."
Oh yeah, they're going to want a sort of a big lucrative club where he can get like good sponsorship deals and all of that. Yeah,
that's definitely coming for sure. That's what I would.
Based on that, he'll probably come to Leeds because they sponsor us now, Rock Nation.
Do they?
Yeah, they're one of our commercial sponsors.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you have him?
No, he's shit. He's just a shit older version of Rafinha, so not really. Rafinha and Jackie Harrison are keeping him well out of the side. Yeah, we'll bring that to an end anyway, Pat. The Palace chat, put you out your misery.
Thankfully.
And let's move on to you, Jonesy, and your 1-1 draw with the mighty Baggies. What's your thoughts, mate? You was all giving it the big and all of you lot. Man United.
You was giving me enough shit. You're fucking shit, you fucking.
We blaggers are pants. Yeah, no, it weren't good. It was poor. Do you know what? I blame you because you half called it. To be fair, you said Allardyce is going to do an Allardyce, and he did. It was just. It's so frustrating. I'm so pissed off with the inconsistent shit that I have to watch. I get so excited to watch them nowadays, but then 10 minutes into a game, I'm like, what's the point? What is the fucking... Yeah, it was just... I mean, they get dicked every week. Every fucking week, they get bopped. And then we go and fucking... and then we go and fucking draw to them. Again, Newcastle, they're getting bopped every week. I guarantee this week it's going to be a struggle for us. Because, just the way we are. I mean, Lindelof, I half wanted it to be a foul, thought it was a foul, but no, it was just a pussy hole. Just be stronger. And I mean, so early in the game, you can't even say you're tired because it's so early. Just be stronger. Listen, you ain't going to win every challenge, I know, but Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah, it was just poor, but we're still second. I don't know. Again, I've said it before. I don't know how. I really honestly don't know how.
Some fucking bribes, probably.
Everyone else has been so shit. That's why.
But that's what I'm saying. It is a weird season, but that's frustrating the fucking life out of me. Honestly, the doing no help from your fringe at all. I'm telling you.
And you look at it, Jonesy, your next 3 games, like you said, like you got Newcastle, but then after that you've got Chelsea, Man City, and West Ham. They're 3 massive games.
Yeah, nice. I've seen them pop up on the United Twitter. You know, like, oh, how many points do you think we can get? And the problem I've got is we can get out of our next 5 games, 4 or 5 games, we could get 12, 15 points, but we could also get none. That's the problem. I can't say
so. Oh.
We could literally
every time
we lose them. We could lose them. That's what I'm saying. This is what I don't like about it. It's not like you can go, do you know what? We're going to beat West Ham. We're going to beat Newcastle. We're going to beat them. We might nick a point at Chelsea. We're probably going to lose to City. I'm not confident in anything anymore. Like literally, it could be 15 or it could be none. That's the way I see it.
It's not what you signed up for, Jonesy. You glory hunted and supported them, so you win every week. What's all this indecision?
This is a joke. This is what a disgrace. Nah,
Boy,
but I've put it on Twitter, like, you know, disgusting myself that I thought that, you know, he was challenging for a title. I'm not going to lie to you. I wanted to try and remain calm and, you know, whatever, but I actually thought I thought this is a weird season. No fans. We're in it. I was singing to Greg every day. We're in it. But, fuck off. We're not. Leave me alone. But,
Matty, go on, mate. What's your thoughts?
I've never seen someone so depressed about being second in the league. I mean,
so hard done by, isn't they?
How do you think we feel as Arsenal? I mean, Jesus, come on, Kyle. You still got to look at the positives. You're still doing well in the table, mate. So
no, like I say, I'm happy with second. Again, I don't know how.
No, me neither.
But this is all I can think of now is try and stay the best of the rest. Just try. I'll be more than happy with do you know what? At the moment, I'll be happy with top 3, maybe an FA Cup or Europa League. Win one of them, and a top 3. I think I'll be happy with now. But again, a month ago, I'm thinking we're going to fucking win the league. It's a joke. I'm thinking we've got this. Come on, Bruno. We've got it.
I wanted to ask you if you saw the interview with Neville and Carragher on Monday Night Football when Neville said Maguire's problem is Lindelof and Lindelof's problem is Maguire. I thought that was quite
100%.
funny.
It is. Again, it's been said for ages, we're never going to win anything with them 2 at the back, and we ain't. I honestly, genuinely believe that. Maguire needs someone.
They don't compliment each
Maguire
other.
looks a bag. Yeah, Maguire is a bag of nerves as soon as he's playing with him. Now, they've had their good games, don't get me wrong, but Maguire he looks scared now. But I think when you've got Bailly there, he just looks a lot more better. He knows he can afford to.
Is Bailly injured?
He's back now. He was injured. I think he had a bit of a car crash, didn't he, or something? But I think he's back now. So did Lindelof, yeah.
Pat, over to you, mate.
Yeah, just sort of on that sort of centre back pairing, is sort of like me and Greg were saying about like sort of how Palace have like got all the experience that one of them needs to control it and get the others to do it. I think that's what Maguire needs. Maguire's got the ability, but I think he needs someone next to him just barking out like the simple things, like, and then he would be a better defender.
Yeah, but he's the captain.
He's the captain.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be, should he?
No, he shouldn't be.
Is Bailly the sort of commanding centre half? Not for me. No. He's got a lot of accidents in him as well, to be fair. I never know if he's going to get sent off or do something silly, but he has been playing well by. But again, recently I feel like we've looked a lot better defensively when you've had them 2 there. But I think Maguire likes his pace there. That's what I think.
So say in the summer then, if you got to choose a centre back to put in with either of those, who would you go out and get?
Scott Dan's out of contract.
Yeah. Listen, I play a lot of Football Manager. Arno is unreal on there, but do you know what? Watching that man live is a nightmare. I actually think
Football Manager to the Premier. What's wrong with you, mate? Seriously.
I feel like Upamecano's and Eric Bailly Mark II.
Didn't he have a shocker last night?
Every time I've watched him, he's had a shocker.
I don't rate him. I think he's well overrated.
He's pre-signed at Bayern, isn't he?
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about this Jules Koundé from Sevilla. Now, again, what I've seen of him
on Football Manager.
No. Well,
FIFA.
Because you've never seen him play. I'm not having that.
From either. We played Sevilla a couple of years ago, didn't we? He
Oh,
played.
yeah.
He actually. He's another young French one, I think. But do you know what? Listen, let's take a punt on him. I think more than anything. To be honest, because I'm not overly sold on Upamecano. So, but I feel like it needs to be someone quick. It needs to be someone quick and strong. Not we need. It needs to be pacey. I'd like him to be a brick shit house with a bit of pace. That'd be handy. And someone that talks.
What about Tyrone Mings?
And not from Villa. Not from Villa. I don't want anyone from Villa.
Greg, go on, mate.
No, I was like Pat kind of not took the question, but I was just about to say about their defence. Like you've got, I like three of their defenders. I think are pretty much first choice for United, and you've got one slot left. You're playing Lindelof. You don't really like him, like you don't, and obviously Maguire don't like playing next to him. You've got Bailly, as you say, who's a bit injury prone. So it was a sort of question like who would you like to go in there? Because Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, I think, kind of pick themselves. And then Maguire's obviously, he's not getting moved because he's captain, even though, as we said, he probably shouldn't be. But that only leaves you with one place, and it just leave. And we've just chatted about who you want, but it doesn't leave you with a lot, like because there ain't a lot. Defenders are to come by nowadays. Good defenders, mate. I'm telling you, it's a struggle. So many good attackers in the world, but defenders are a bit hard to come by, and especially with top clubs having them anyway.
But that's it. Yeah, I mean, I bet we'd all struggle to try and find ourselves that top class centre half. I even think even buying this Koundé from Sevilla or whatever, it's a gamble. Everything it'd be a risky gamble again. The only good thing about that Upamecano is if he's got this £36 million release clause, what the hell is 36 million for a 21-year-old, 22-year-old centre half?
He's signed for Bayern though.
Is that confirmed though? Is that confirmed?
5-year deal.
Oh right, I didn't know.
One thing I did see, sorry to chip in, is David Alaba said today he's going to be leaving Bayern.
He's going Madrid.
Oh, is he going Madrid? Oh, well, shut me up then.
Apparently.
Well, it's them, because I think Liverpool they're majorly interested, but again, it's down to that player now. If he's looking to run his contract down, David Alaba is going to have a pick of the litter, really. Let's face it. He could go wherever he wanted.
He could be at Leeds if he wanted to. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the way you play it,
you might be flirting with Ramos again come the transfer window. He's out of contract, I think. Or
Ben, you'd love to flirt with Ramos, wouldn't you?
Oh, mate. Sergio's the one. He is the one.
Again, I don't want to stopgap centre half.
Well, with the amount of penalties you get, he might have a fucking chance scoring a few as well.
No,
in Red Bull, he'd only have 2 goals.
He have to beat up Sanders, wouldn't he?
Spearsy, you love a bit of Bruno Sanders.
The stick that Bruno gets, you know what?
I'm fully with Spear on that front now. He's got to go, mate.
He's a new Frank Lampard for me. I used to hate Frank Lampard.
I love that he's rattled you.
He's a better manager than Frank Lampard, though.
Lampard more than him, though, isn't he?
Right, well, we'll cut that short anyway then, Jonesy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Can we skip this next one?
No, I want to talk about this one. Come on.
I don't.
Here we go. Lovely.
I really want to just end the podcast now, but I suppose I've got to take the rough with the smooth. Think
when you're winning, Tel, eh?
No, Arsenal 4, Leeds 2, which, to be fair, the way it started, I'm quite happy with how it ended, that scoreline. Thought we was going to be Southampton. But, Spearsy, I'll let you sort of start us off.
Well, it's quite unbelievable. I thought we'd win, but I thought it'd be a bit tighter than that. I mean, we hit the post and the bar, could have had 6. There was 20 minutes in the second half, so a bit shaky. I thought, well, even with Arsenal, 4-1's never a safe scoreline, is it? But Aubameyang hat-trick, nice to see him back in a bit of form. Nice first goal as well. I couldn't believe it was his first hat-trick in the Premier League.
Yeah, that surprised me, actually.
Saka, his normal self, he was unbelievable, absolutely everywhere. David Luiz had a good game. And I think Ceballos, he seemed to go under the radar a little bit. He was everywhere. He was tackling in his own box. He was in the Leeds box. Nice little nutmeg for the Bellerin assist. And your keeper, fucking hell, you give Alisson a run for it.
He did have a proper Alisson, didn't he?
Yeah, no.
Boyle.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. I thought the game would be a bit closer than it actually was. I still think going forward, I don't want to wax lyrical about Tierney too much, but again, Suarez is steady, but we just offer so much going down that left side with Aubameyang and whoever's playing on left and Tierney. It changes the whole dynamic of our attack. And I'm not even just saying this. If he was playing, I think we would have scored even more, just because of the pure threat that he has, especially with his deliveries in the box. We miss him, but same as Spear said, well happy with Aubameyang getting a hat-trick, a long overdue hat-trick. But again, yeah, it's just Arsenal, they give you a heart attack, like coasting and still think that they could draw or lose a game. Especially when Leeds scored the second, I was going thinking, yeah, we could be in trouble here. But yeah, glad we got it over the line, to be honest.
DS?
Oh, mate, yeah, same as the lads, really. Like, massively, pleasantly surprised. I didn't really see it going like that to get in front that early. Leeds didn't seem to be playing at their best, but I thought that we kind of made it that way because we was passing out from the press. Some of it was a bit touch and go. It had to be spot on the way they passed through the Leeds press there, and yeah, they were just clinical in certain situations, which they haven't been other weeks. They've wasted opportunities which they didn't waste this time. I can't. When Saka went over, I was screaming for a pen. I know you thought differently, Till.
Yes, I fucking did.
Yeah, it was just one of them ones where if it's your team, you're going for that. You're calling for that all day long.
It was. I don't think it was anything different in that and Bamford's. I think if you give one, you got to give the other. And I weren't screaming really for the Bamford one. It was.
Was you not? To be fair, I'll be honest. Bamford's one, I had my head in my hands. I was like pen all day long. Pen.
For me, it was more of a pen than the Saka one, but I just think he got muscled out of it.
No, I agree. As Saka's wasn't given, I was pleased that the other one wasn't given. You can sort of say it was evened up, but yeah, if Saka's was given, I think 100% they would have given Bamford's because I just thought both of them. The defenders were clumsy. They've gone across the line of the way the player's running, and I don't know. I don't think either defender deserved the benefit of the doubt really with what they did. So yeah, it was even in the end. I thought.
Yeah, that's it. It leveled itself out, didn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, so we done well. It was good to see Aubameyang back on form. I thought we looked a lot better with Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Tobias, like having some more boulders on the pitch at the same time. We wouldn't have made it out of sort of some of the passing moves we'd done away from sort of Leeds' pressing if we didn't have people with that ability all on the pitch at the same time. And yeah, like typical Arsenal, we're 4-0 up, and I still can't sit there and relax because Newcastle 2012, whenever it was, I might have that year wrong, but 4-0 up.
Check you out.
It was. I rate him. But anyway,
from our point of view as well, like you said there, Dave, like the game started horrendously for us. Like you boys started like a house on fire. Yeah. I think the likes of sort of Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Saka, I suppose, but more Smith Rowe and Odegaard, I think they both sort of had a point to prove that they can both play in the same team, and one isn't going to get pushed out by the other. I think that three of Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Saka works so well because they've all got ability. Like there's no denying that, but they all work fucking hard.
They did, and that's the thing with what I like about Arteta. He won't have anyone in the team just because of their ability. He needs them to put in the same shift as everyone else. And when you're a team that relies on hard work, when there's a bit of a drop off, obviously they're nowhere near towards. You look at someone like Liverpool last year. That's the benchmark of what everyone's trying to get. So no way you can expect them standards, but kind of you can see the certain games where they're on it and when they're not on it. And that was one where they was on it. But credit to Leeds, it was uncomfortable in the second half, and they don't give up. Even Arteta said that he had a quote where he said playing Leeds is like going to the dentist.
Yeah,
you just don't want to do it. And at 4-0, at half time, he said, "Look, if there's one team that's not going to give up in this whole league, it's Leeds. So keep because most Arsenal teams have a little bit of complacency in them when they go a few goals ahead, and then because of past capitulations, you do see the sort of puppers flapping like on the pitch and off the pitch. So yeah, massively pleased to get that one over the line. It needed that win after last
No,
two.
fair play to you. I must admit, like, it hurt us, but I was quite impressed with Arsenal. I thought you boys put in a really good performance. Like you said, we weren't at our best. I think I'm not one who's gonna really ever criticise Bielsa because the guy's a genius and he's worked wonders with our team. But I think he made a big boo boo this weekend. I think obviously we were missing Calvin Phillips, who is our catalyst. He makes everything tick over.
It's a big miss to you,
And
isn't it?
he's got this thought that our next best like CDM, central defensive midfielder, is Pascal Strike, and that I understand that. Like if he thinks that, then that's fine. Put Pascal in there, but in order to accommodate that, rather than just put one player out of position to cover Phillips, he's ended up reshuffling the pack, and we ended up moving 3 players out of a winning team. And we've ended up sort of dragging Ayling back to centre half, and we've lost his partnership down the right hand side with Rafinha, and they've been on fire together. And I think it just upset the balance of the side. And then with you boys starting so well, before we could really settle into the game and find our feet, we were 2-0 down and chasing the game. And then it was just like, fuck me, this is one of them days, you know. And then I've got to give your boys a hell of a lot of credit for the high press, because you made it so fucking hard for our playing out from the back style, which is what we do, and we swear by it. And I think Arteta's got a bit of a heads up on a lot of sides because he's played us more than others, because we obviously had you in the cup as well last season. And I think he's seen a bit more of our team, and he knows he's done his own work clearly on what we do and what outlets we look for. Because I know like Meslier made a complete howler bringing Saka down, but that was all down to you boys cutting off every possibility of an outball for him, and he was just, it's drummed into him to not just bang it long and lose possession. So he was waiting and waiting for that opening, and before he knew it, Saka's on him. And I've got to give you boys a hell of a lot of credit. Like I said, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, and Aubameyang, that front 4 played so well as a defensive unit as well. They were the first line of your defence, and they made it so difficult for our boys. And then obviously we tried making a few changes, and it improved. And like you said, if any team's not going to give up, it's us. We never know when we're beaten. We will just keep plugging away until something works. And we had a bit of success, but by the time it was sort of, the game was dead. You know what I mean? It was dead and buried. You were 4-0 up. We had so many young players out there like Jamie Shackleton, Niall Huggins. It was his debut. Pascal Strike. Like we ended up with the back 4. Them 3 were all in it. They're all 20, 21, 22. I think they all are. And they've barely got any games under their belt at all, let alone at that sort of level against a team like Arsenal as well, against that calibre of player. So just bad day at the office from our point of view. I don't really want to dwell on it too much and just want to forget it ever happened, really. Go on, Kyle. You got enough thoughts on it, mate?
Well, it's more just about this with you, really, regarding our Click. Now, again, I've not watched every minute of your games, but his form recently has been poor, very poor. I was wondering, what's your thinking of him? Do you drop him? Do you not drop him? You know, like what would you do with Click? Because it ain't working at the moment. But again, he's probably one of your better players.
Not clicking.
The thing with Click, he's been an ever present really under Bielsa. He's only missed a couple of games. He played something like 93, 94 games on the bounce under Bielsa, and he was a solid sort of 8 out of 10 every week. Do you know what I mean? I think he started the season like a house on fire, was phenomenal, and I think he's been quite hurt by the personnel changes. We've had quite a lot of injuries, and he's barely played in like a midfield 3 that we play with. It's barely been a settled 3 throughout the season. He's been chopping and changing. He's played a couple of games in the Phillips role, like against Villa. He's switched sort of in and out of the side, and he's 1 minute he's got Rodrigo next to him in that midfield role, where Rodrigo sort of has taken his time to settle into the team, and he doesn't offer as much in a defensive capacity that would help Click out. So he's leaving Click exposed. And I don't think that's any fault of his own. I think he's just having to cover more ground than he would usually do. But I think he's sort of, he fell out of form, and he has been dropped. He got dropped for 2 or 3 games on the bounce, which is sort of unheard of under Bielsa. But he brought him back in, not this week, the week before, and he looked like he was back to himself. He played a very good game. Like he pretty much ran the show. And this game, like I said, it just, again, personnel changes. Phillips weren't behind him. He's then got Pascal Strike's not really a solid central defensive midfielder. He's a centre half. So he's having to sort of try and nurture him into that role as well. And I don't think Click's a problem. I think it's just coincidental, really, that he seems to be the position he plays. It stands out when the whole system isn't working. It looks like it's on him, but it's no fault of his own. Boyle, go on,
Because I
mate.
know you rate him. I know you do.
I
know
think
you
he's a
boys
great.
love him,
He's my
yeah.
favourite player. Rafinha's very, very closely becoming that because he's amazing. But I love Click. I think he's an amazing player. Go on, Boyle.
I was just going to say, with regards to Leeds' point of view, I know you love the bloke Calvin Phillips, but yeah, it just seems like Leeds don't play the same when he's not there. It doesn't pick the same. So, I mean, I know one player doesn't make a team. I thought Leeds played, I mean, apart from patches where a bit of switching off in concentration, I don't think Leeds played that bad. It's just Arsenal look at it. When you've got, like you said, Saka, Ceballos, Odegaard, Aubameyang look like they were all bang up for it. But we need to play like that more consistently rather than just playing like that for 2 games and then not winning again 4 games.
Yeah, because when you boys click like that, when you play like all of them sort of players, if Aubameyang's at his best and Saka's at his best, they don't give anyone trouble. Like they're good players.
That's what, but I still don't think that Arteta knows what his best side is.
No, he doesn't.
One minute Lacazette was flavour of the month and he was in. As soon as Aubameyang's had a little bit of a rest, I know he's had some on the field, off the field stuff going on, but he's back in the team, him scoring a hat-trick. That's Lacazette not playing again for another couple of months now. I don't see him ever starting if Aubameyang's going to play like that. But I just think Arteta needs to, I don't know how you could get to this point of a season and still don't know what your best team is.
Yeah. Go on, Greg.
Just back to you, mate. About Meslier, like his mistake. I think, is it not more annoying that he's made a mistake like that after? You know, he's a keeper, obviously, so he must look out for other keepers what they've done, i.e., Alisson last week.
Take some of the heat off here.
No, but I'm just asking because obviously it's a big mistake.
Greg, eh?
No, but what I'm saying, we were trying to say is, you see that mistake from Alisson as a keeper himself. You see that mistake, and I know as what you're saying is, it's a bit like Alisson, sweeper keeper. It's put into them. Don't boot the ball. Don't boot the ball. But you've just seen him do that last week twice, and then it's happened to him. Like
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
What is it with keepers now that they just don't want to kick the ball?
Yeah.
It's football's changed, isn't it? And I think if you're playing the sort of style of football that we play and that Bielsa demands of them, it comes from the back. And Meslier is the forefront of a lot of our attacks. It might sound silly, but it's him who sets the ball rolling. He starts pretty much every attack from the back, and the way we sort of play is we'll knock the ball about between sort of the back 4, waiting for them openings that the midfield. Like when you're at a game, obviously at the moment we can't be, but when you're at the game, you can see this. They sort of knocking it about. It's in like a methodical sort of way, waiting for them midfield to open up these gaps and make these runs off the ball. And then all of a sudden, a quick couple of triangles and you're in. But within 4 or 5 passes, you're in on goal. And how they look at it is you pump a ball long from a goalkeeper, what, 8 times out of 10, you're going to lose the ball. Like, that's how they look at it. So they'd rather play nine times out of 10, you're keeping it at the back, and then they hazard that if you do lose that ball on the one occasion, you just got to swallow it. It's not like Meslier won't, like Alisson's issues won't even be affecting him, because Melier's given the ball away plenty of times already this season, and he's got himself out of trouble. And as Leeds fans, like if that was Kiko, who's our sub goalkeeper, he does it on a higher scale. He's done it loads of times for us, and he's cost us. We get on his back, but I think that's because he's a 33, 34-year-old goalkeeper who's been there, seen it, done it, and should probably know better and know when he's in trouble to get rid. Melier's 20.
Yeah.
We're as a set of fans, we're just swallowing the fact that he's going to make errors this season. It's not going to affect us in the terms of like getting in Europe or going down. Either way, none of them are going to happen. We're just going to have to swallow that this is a learning curve for the kid. And like I've seen some fans go, "Oh fuck him, we should cane him because if this was Kiko, we'd be all over him." Let the kid do his thing. I'd rather him get all these mistakes out of the way this season. Like even if he makes a few more, I'm just going to swallow it and hope he learns from them. It's a learning curve this season.
Yeah, no, I know they're obviously asked to play like that. I know that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, from my point, you see someone fuck up the week before, and it's kind of like, I know you're being asked to, but just so it's not on your shoulders at that point, just get rid.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you look at City though, in their first year, Guardiola come there, and the style they're doing. You look at the amount of mistakes they were making.
I know it's.
And
hold on, before we go on,
losses,
I know Leeds are doing well this season.
This is the way we play. I've got to stick to it, and we live or die by it. And then you get through that shit phase, and then you reap the rewards. And they're now mastered at it. You know what I mean?
That's it. It's look at John Stones when he first started learning how to play from the back. Even at Everton, he was making untold mistakes, and now look at him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, Strug. Go on, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know. I'm just saying. I know Leeds are doing well this season, but I mean, are we really comparing them to Guardiola's Man City?
It's the style of play. Same.
But Strug, I know you're
every single team tries to play out from the back now. Every team does it. They've all copied his style. He has changed football, Guardiola, since he's come here.
I know what you're saying there, Strug, but when you take into account our personnel, Guardiola ain't getting out of that team what Bielsa has. Guardiola isn't turning Luke Ayling, Stuart Dallas, all these players into mid-table Premier League players. It ain't happening. He's spent fucking £1 billion, and he's still only just about struggling to win the league every now and again. So you can compare them all you want, but we're punching well above our weight, and it's all down to the style of football that we play. Go on, Pat.
Yeah. Just going back to what Boyle was saying about Arteta not knowing like his best team, and it's either Aubameyang or Lacazette. It was like when like a season or two ago, they had a real strong partnership and were playing well together. As Arsenal fans, would you rather see them two linking up or one of them up top with sort of your Odegaard, Smith Rowe and Saka supporting them behind?
That's a good question. Me personally, I know Lacazette has done all right, but I would leave him out of the team for now. I think there's better options. Having Aubameyang play central and having the players that he's got behind him, which can interchange with each other. I personally wouldn't, unless something happens like an injury, I would keep Lacazette on the bench and have him come on later on in a game. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think the setup that we had in that Leeds game is the way forward.
Yeah,
those ball players on the pitch at the same time with just your if he's on form, he's a weapon. Aubameyang, just having him there to eat those chances up for breakfast. When you've got them little intricate players around him, that's what we weren't doing before. We weren't making chances for him.
That's right. Yeah, and he suffered massively for that. Odegaard looks like a typical type of Arsenal player of old, like technically looks very physically fit, and he's only just sort of starting to play. So it'd be interesting to see what he's achieved by the end of the season, where he nicks a couple of goals, a couple of more assists. But
the strange thing with Odegaard though, Matt, like I think he's a cracking player, and like he's had bags of ability as a young kid and that. But Madrid have openly said he ain't going anywhere. I said, regardless of what Arsenal think and how well he does, he's not for sale. So I find it a bit of a strange.
I think a lot of it depends on whether Zinedine Zidane is still manager come the start of next season.
True.
So depending on who they've got in charge and where Real Madrid end up in La Liga. Because when
it's a no lose for Madrid, isn't it? It's a no lose for them because
yeah, of course. Because then he's getting regular minutes under us, and then he can go back there. He's fresh. He's had game time in a top league. Maybe it depends on who's going to be in charge. It's the same for Ceballos. Are they going to sell him to us? I mean,
yeah, it's a weird one.
The season.
But yeah, well, we'll draw a line under that anyway, boys. Congrats. I'll swallow the defeat and good win for you, boys. I must admit. Let's go on to the next one, Mr. Strug. You're going to be buzzing, mate. You had a lovely 3-0 win against Sheffield United. Sent you fourth. You're
For a
down
bit
to fifth
anyway.
now, but joint fourth we call it, just like me and the predictor, if you remember. But yeah, over to you, mate. What's your thoughts on the high flying West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take joint fourth. But it's a game I weren't really looking forward to be honest. When the teams come out, Antonio's obviously injured again, so we didn't have a striker. Ogbonna was, I think he's out for a month now, which is going to be massive for us because he's been brilliant. So I was a bit concerned about that because I thought we played Fulham last week and they looked like a team who were fighting for their life, and they've switched it on a bit now. And I was thinking with Sheffield United, it's only a matter of time before they have to do something. They have to start playing. They have to come out a bit, and I thought it'd just like that they start playing on Monday night, but they didn't. They were shit. We played well, but we only played as well as we had to, really. We didn't really have to get out of second gear. We let them have a lot of the ball, but we sort of just picked them off. And we finally got our first penalty in about a year, I think, as well, which Declan put away. I weren't too sure who was going to be taking our penalties because Martin Oble's been taking them for the last 15 years or something stupid like that. But
he took over from Julian Dix, I think, didn't he, Martin
Yeah,
Noble?
he's been around that long. It was something like that, yeah. But I saw Jesse Lingard try to take it off him, but Deck weren't having none of that.
I must admit, I liked that from Declan Rice. I know he sort of pulled rank and was like, "Pipe down, fella. This is mine. I'm stepping up now."
Yeah, but I think he basically said that in the interview afterwards. Jesse Lingard said he wanted it because he won it. But yeah, Deck, I think he stood his ground and said, Moyes has said I'm the penalty taker, so I'm having it. But it was a good penalty as well. So
yeah, he took it well.
Glad we got someone who can put them away. But saying that, with the way we played, with no Antonio, I was a bit worried because we looked a bit toothless up at Man United in the FA Cup. I thought we played well, but we just didn't have anything going forward. But with Lingard in there, I thought it looked like he was going to be a false nine, if you like, but which I'm not really sure what that is anyway, to be honest with you. But it looked like we had three players up front with Lanzini, Lingard, and Bowen. And it didn't look like we had anyone playing up front, if you like. They was all just chopping and changing, which I thought must be a nightmare to defend against because you don't know who you're marking if they're all over the place. And we look good. I hope we can keep it up. I mean, Antonio fit in nicely in there as well with him, and I think Lingard improved us when we needed it because we started slowing down. We played well all season, but I don't know, over Christmas it started slowing down a bit. But I think Lingard's got something a bit special in there, and he's been doing well. But yeah, I mean, Diop come in, scored from a header, and then Fredericks come on and got a goal, which was rare. So yeah, 3-0. Maybe it flattered us a bit, but Sheffield United, I think they're done. I expected a bit more from them, but I think
agree, mate.
They're finished now. Yeah, but I was happy with the win. We played, like I said, played well enough, and on to Spurs on Sunday. We can go in a bit of confidence with that, with Antonio back as well. So
yeah, you got a good record against them and all, mate. Kyle, go on, mate.
Yeah, just wanted to say, Strug, like obviously, I'm sure in the past when he was at United, you've give Lingard some stick. But like, what was your react? Like, obviously, when you found out you're getting him on loan, did you think he would have the impact that he's had? And how happy was you? Like, do you know what I mean? How happy was you that you was getting him, or was you still a bit unsure? And obviously, a second question. Sorry, just as well. You can answer both. Just say we come back here. Europa League, Champions League. Talk to me. Do you realistically think you're going to be around there coming into the season? Fire away.
Yeah, Lingard. I mean, I weren't against him coming in. I weren't over the moon, but I weren't over the moon with it. Only because he hadn't played all season, did he? Really, I think he played a couple of cup games. And whenever I've seen him for Man United, I don't watch United all the time. I've only really seen him when they play West Ham. He hasn't really always stood out. I think he's looked all right for England at times, but I didn't know what Lingard we were getting. But with the games he's played, he's been our best player.
Yeah.
Maybe not the Fulham game. I think that probably came a bit too soon after the Villa game for him. But against Villa and Sheffield United, he was the best player on the pitch. And I don't think, if anyone watched the game, I don't think you can really argue with it. He run the show, and he was mustard again Monday night. And I'm hoping he's the same against Spurs. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised with him. And I think at the moment with Declan Rice and Souček, he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet. So yeah,
will you start doing it yet or no? Will you start doing it or no?
No, I mean I'm 31, mate.
For the audio listeners, that's Kyle doing that stupid little Jesse Lingard hand signal thing.
Europe, I think Champions League's a bit unrealistic, to be honest. You never know, but I can't see that. But I mean, Europa League, I don't see why not. I mean, it's there for the taking, isn't it, really? I think there's a few teams in the mix for it. I mean, yeah, Champions League would be a stretch. I mean, I'd be amazed if we managed to get into that. It'd take Liverpool or Chelsea, I'd imagine, really, really slipping up, which I can't see them both doing. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be over the moon with the Europa League, to be honest.
Hops, I'll come to you in one sec, but Strug, just to chime in, your next few games could sort of make or break the whole top six, top four, whatever. You've got Tottenham, Man City, Leeds, Man United, Arsenal. I think if you come through them with, say, 3 wins out of the 5 games, I think you're going to be a shoo-in, because then you've got a nice little run, sort of like your Newcastles, Burnleys, Brightons, West Broms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think your next sort of 4 or 5 games are big for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it earlier. I thought even if we come out with 7 or 8 points out of that, and don't get spanked by anyone, keep the goal difference respectable, and then move on for the rest of the season. I think the only one out of that I really don't see us having a chance in is City.
Oh,
no, we've already done you this season. I'm not too worried about Leeds, but City. But then City, they're on a good run, aren't they? But they got to lose sometime. You never know. It might be a shut up shop and nick a point from Moyes, so you never know. But the way we've been playing this season, I wouldn't put anything past us. We could, we could go on and Europa League. I don't see why not. I don't see why we can't.
Yeah, too right, mate. Hoppers, sorry, mate. Go on, over to you now.
That's right. I was thinking, Strug, what you reckoning on the old Lingard penalty situation? And I'm not just picking on him, so I've seen it a lot of at Chelsea and other clubs. When the player grabs the ball and he wants it, it puts that fucking doubt in that the penalty taker's mind. It's like, just leave the fucking ball. You're not the penalty taker. Doesn't matter who you are. It's like it puts that doubt in Rice's mind that if he misses, that Lingard's just going to go, well, I would have scored it. And he just, what do you think?
I was thinking the exact same thing, and especially as it's our first penalty of the season and our first penalty in nearly a year. I mean, there's a bit of pressure there to score it anyway, let alone without Lingard trying to grab the ball off him. So I'm not too sure. I know he wants to get a goal in that, but I don't know. I think he's wanted to be the big man, didn't he? But it looked like Rice put him in his place anyway, and he celebrated with him afterwards. So I don't think there was anything too much in it, to be honest. I think it was probably just a bit of the case. He won the penalty and he wanted it, but luckily Deck put it away.
Get back in your box, Jesse. Over to you, Pat.
Yeah, like still talking about like Lingard. It looks like obviously he's got a whole connection with Moyes, which has probably helped him settle in quite easily and quite quickly. But it seems to look like he's sort of thriving, being like a big fish in a smaller pond at West Ham and sort of surrounded by so-called superstars.
Bigger than your fucking pond.
Right, mate, I'm not arguing with that. But like, it looks like he like enjoys being a main man rather than sort of just a bit part player or a sub.
Yeah.
And I mean, would you be interested in signing him on permanent in the summer if you could?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. To be fair, he weren't getting a game at Man United, was he? So I think he's probably just happy to be playing. And if he carries on like he is the rest of the season, of course I'll be happy to sign him. It'd have to be a sensible money though, because
30 mil.
28.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
not as young
I
as everyone thinks, is he?
No, he's not a kid, is he? So, yeah, I'll be happy to sign him, but it depends what else is out there at the time. We've still got some good attacking midfielders. We've only just bought Ben Rama. We've got Bowen, Lanzini. Well, Lanzini's got off the boil a bit, but we've got Fornals as well. So we've got options there anyway. So it'd be, do we want to spunk that sort of money on Jesse Lingard or put it towards another striker, which we probably desperately need a bit more, or maybe another centre midfielder. So I'll leave that one up to Moyes. But I wouldn't be unhappy if we did sign him permanently. But as long as we got in the other bits and pieces we needed as well, especially if we got into the Europa League, we're gonna have to. We've got a tiny squad, so we'd probably need 6 or 7 players just to be able to compete in both. I think so it takes
Have
a
a
lot.
word with Souček, see if he's got any more of his mates that can come in. They're all fucking unreal.
As long as you give him some potato salad, you're laughing.
Go on, Greg, over to you, mate.
No, just on the transfer front. So I heard today that Rice's agent's in talks with Liverpool and United over a move. But I don't. Obviously, that's just pure speculation. But I mean, that would be a massive sort of deal to go through. Like if you was to lose him,
Big money though, mate.
potentially, yeah. I mean,
It would have to be,
I mean,
especially if they finish in Europe.
I've never heard of obviously Liverpool even being interested as such. But then I've seen it come out today.
It was all Chelsea, wasn't it? Chelsea were interested in him.
I think they've called it. I think they've called their interest now, which is why.
Was it Lampard mainly? Who was behind that?
He was trying to keep Mason Mount happy, wasn't he?
Trying to keep his little puppet happy, wasn't he?
We'll use Lingard as bait. We would. That might work in our favour if you want him. We say you can have Lingard. We give you 60 million in Lingard for Rice.
I don't know about that.
It
doesn't benefit you at all. That really, I think you lose him. It's going to really.
I mean, West Ham would not want to get rid of him at all. I just saw a bit of speculation today and the first time I've ever seen Liverpool's name thrown in, plus obviously Man United, but it's someone out there saying that we're in talks with the agent.
I like Declan. I think he's just getting better and better every week. To be fair,
yeah, he's improving. Isn't he? More football he plays.
He is. He's getting really good. I mean, I was a bit unsure about him. Probably last season, I thought, yeah, you're all right, but is there better? But this season, I think he's looking really good, really good.
He's sort of shown that the better the players are around him as well, the better he'll play. As soon as Souček's come in, he's stepped up even more. Declan Rice and him and Souček in the middle together are fucking. There's not many better midfield partnerships to be fair in the division.
They're pretty phenomenal.
West Ham pay for Souček?
15 mil, I think.
Absolute bargain.
How old is he, Strug?
I'm not 20, 24, 25.
Fucking hell.
Great.
I'll Google it now quick. I'm not even sure he's that old, to be honest. Let me have a look.
It's some signing, isn't it? I'd never heard of him, mate. I remember us talking about it at the time, Strug, and he came in on loan originally.
He's come from nowhere.
Yeah, we got him on loan. And if we stayed up, we had to sign him permanent. And obviously we stayed up and signed him for 15 mil. And then we got his mate Kufal for 5 million, I think.
He's a cracking player as well.
Yeah.
That's still absolute bread and butter. He does. He looks an absolute crank.
I love it though. We've needed a nutter for
years. Thomas Repka,
mate. He must be on some refer a friend bonus, Souček.
Friends reunited.
Loving it, mate.
Well, let's bring that one to a close anyway, Shrugs. Again, lovely fucking win, mate, and cracking season for the Hammers so far. I must admit, I'm quite enjoying seeing you boys up there. It's good to see.
Makes a change, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now we move on to your favourite team, Strug. Ben and Ops, over to you boys. Chelsea, 2-0 win against the Geordies. Ben, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, of course. So we need to clarify one thing first. There's no such thing as joint fourth, right, in the league. Chelsea are fourth and West Ham are fifth. So let's put that to bed, yeah? Because on D-Day at the end of the season, it don't go, oh yeah, they're joint fourth. They're both going to Champions League. Don't work like that.
That'd be nice though, wouldn't it?
Then once you're in it, you can win it, but you have to get in it first. But anyway, I'm not digging at West Ham. I'm just talking about numbers. So, 2-0 Newcastle. I mean, what can I say? The last few weeks, it's just job done. We was better in the first half. Second half was a bit naff, a bit shaky. Newcastle looked a bit more threatening, but not very much. But I just think we're doing what we need to do. We're just cracking on with it, getting the results, the clean sheets, and no, I don't think any Chelsea fan can really grumble. You know, and he's come in. We haven't lost. We barely conceded. So I'm quite happy with the 2-0 win, to be honest. What do you reckon, Ops?
Yeah, I think you touched on it, most of it, to be honest. Like I said last week about the game at Sheffield United, you can't take much away from beating a team thrown at the bottom. We've got another clean sheet. Werner looked something going forward for a change. A couple of games in a row, he's put man of matches in and stuff. And one thing I take out of that is Abraham's injury. We might see a bit more of Giroud up front with our playing free at the back now with our wing backs and stuff. We might get a few more sort of long balls and more crosses in for Giroud. So I like to see we give him a run of 5-6 games rather than half hour here. Then he scores. Then he gets the next game. Then he doesn't get anything for 90 minutes. And then he'll be on the bench for another 3 games. So I like to see him get an actual run in, see if he can sort of get 4, 5, 6 goals in a 2 or 3 games, and see if he can kick us going forward. So that's something to take out of it. But playing against Newcastle with no threat up front, there wasn't really much coming back. So there's not much you can take out of it, but the 3 points and a clean sheet, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right about Giroud as well. He deserves it. I mean, when he comes on, he proves a point, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's like I mean, I know he had the same situation at Arsenal where he's almost like ends up being like a super sub, but he does deserve a bit of time, really, especially everything he's give to both clubs now, really, coming on and scoring and his professionalism.
Mhm.
Like he seems to come on and it's like he's got no attitude. He wants to get his head down and score, and he does that. So fair play to him, really.
And thing is, I think what Tuchel said after the game, I think he was talking about Werner and his last option is him to play through the middle. So I think he'll give Giroud a run now rather than giving Werner a run through the middle, because he sees him as a winger coming inside rather than actual playing up front of his own. He said he'll either play on the wing or up front with someone else. So I think we might actually see a bit more of Giroud. So
yeah. I actually thought Tuchel was, in his post-match interview, I thought he was very open. He kind of, he seems very focused about what he wants to do, but I feel like he's putting his cards down on the table, and he can, I don't know if he's giving too much of his game plan away, or if he's just trying to be clever, really. So I'm sure we'll see in the next few weeks when we come up against tougher opposition and see what it's like against the big boys.
Pat, go on, mate. You want to chime in? Yeah,
just obviously like Werner obviously hadn't scored for a good while, and then it sort of looked like when the goal went to VAR, it looked like it was like sort of, if that got sort of disallowed, it would have been another sort of knock to his confidence, and you could sort of see the relief when it was actually given. Do you reckon he'll like sort of take the confidence and push on and potentially show the player that, you know, he sort of showed he could be last season?
Is that to me or Ops, mate? Or
either.
Go on, Ben.
Yeah, I think Werner's been, obviously hasn't been what he was last season, or the season before, but he's definitely, especially in the last couple of games, he's had an impact on the games. He's had an impact on the results, and he's been positive. So I think, you could see in his face when it went to VAR or when it was being checked, he was looking at it to say, "Oh no, not again." But if it had been disallowed, I think he's still doing enough in games to deserve his place. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite happy with him, and I think he will continue to get better. It will take time. You can see that it's been a slow process already. So, but
yeah, I agree. I think he's been playing to some confidence, but everyone's been giving him a lot of stick, but I haven't seen a lot at all from Pulisic or Ziyech this season, and I don't see them getting a lot of stick. To be honest, it's been a lot of stick for people like Werner, and Havertz hasn't really done much at all. But Pulisic has not done a thing. He was mustard when he came back from was it after the COVID break last season, and he just went on a mad one and was just going nuts. And this season he hasn't. I think he done his hamstring, didn't he?
Yeah.
Since then he's been tough, and Ziyech, he's meant to be this sort of next big thing coming up. And when I've seen him, all he's done is cut back in his left foot and try and play this worldy 40-yard pass. And when it comes off one every 15 times, you think, well, it's amazing, great. But all the other times it'll hit the first man, go out for a goal kick, and he's not putting his weight at the moment. So I think Werner does warrant his place, weirdly, even though he's not been that great the start of the season.
Kyle, go on, mate. Over to you.
I just want to, quick question. Basically, I see Kepa come in for the weekend. Just want to see what your boys' thoughts were on. Are you happy for him to be given another chance, or do you want to see Mendy put back in goal? I mean, I don't know why he was brought in. Is he just being given another chance? But Mendy was on the bench, wasn't he? So I just want to see what you're saying on the old goalkeeper situation, because you weren't great.
Tuchel was asked about this after the game, and he went on to explain that Mendy is number one, and there's no question that, which is strange to see Kepa starting in the league. I understand him starting in the cup, and he's giving him a chance, but in the league it was quite surprising, especially with the way Kepa's confidence has been. But for some reason, I don't know if Mendy wasn't well, or it wasn't very, very well ironed out for me. I didn't really understand it too well, but it seemed like basically he was playing Kepa, but he wasn't going to play Kepa after this game. So
I think what he said, like you said about Mendy being his number one, and his words were something like, this was his chance against Newcastle to give him a bit of confidence. In other words, Newcastle are an absolute pony, and he's not going to have a lot to do. I think that was basically it. And then Mendy will basically be back in goal Saturday, I assume.
Yeah.
Struggers?
I just wanted to talk about Newcastle quickly, because I didn't even know Fulham were playing tonight until someone mentioned it earlier, and I got a point. I was just looking at the table, and they're banging trouble, aren't they? They're only 6 points above Fulham, and Fulham are picking up points now, and I don't see where Newcastle are getting another win from. They're spiraling, especially with Callum Wilson out for 8 weeks, whatever he's out for. They don't look like they're going to score a goal, do they? Let alone get any points. So I think looking at the bottom of the table there, I could see Newcastle dropping, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they're going to get dragged in, mate. Like they've got Man United next, and then they've got Wolves, and who else they got after that? So they got Man United, Wolves, then they've got West Brom, Villa, Brighton. So they're sort of. But even without Wilson, mate, like they're going to probably be the games that he misses. Without him, I can't see them getting anything out of any of them, to be honest with you. And then when he comes back, then like they got to hope he's back firing as soon as, you know what I mean? He probably won't be the same till the end of the season, and it could be too late. And like you said, Fulham are picking points up, so it's going to be they're going to get dragged in.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, it looked like it's done and dusted, the bottom three, didn't it? But the way Fulham were picked up and the way Newcastle are dropping. By the way, Pat, I'll just look at the table. I think Palace will be all right.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
I've just noticed as well, boys. Last game of the season, Fulham v Newcastle.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be a massive one.
That could be big, isn't it?
So that could be massive, mate. Dave, over to you, mate.
I just wanted to ask Chris and Ben about the manager. Really, like, to be fair, he's been quite impressive since he's come in. Do you see him as being there for quite a few years and bringing some real success back to the club, or do you just not see it? Do you think he'll be down the road in another year or two? And secondly to that, did you say things panned out differently for Frank Lampard and he was actually fairly successful this season and he stayed with the club? Do you think would have ever carried on and been a successful manager with Chelsea, or do you think he was always doomed to not be there that long and never succeed with them really?
I mean, my opinion is whether it's Frank, Tuchel, if you're not winning games as a first, and then very very fast after, if you're not winning trophies, you're going to be out the door. Yeah, you only got to look at Chelsea's success over the last 15 years, and they don't keep holding managers that are just winning and not winning trophies. Yeah, and so never mind managers that aren't winning. So it just, unfortunately, that's the way it is now, and it doesn't matter how much individually you rate a manager. At the end of the day, it's the trophies in the cabinet that the club want to see. So you have to kind of disconnect to who the manager is as a supporter, and really just kind of look at the bigger picture. So that's my opinion on it, anyway.
Yeah, I think like he got sacked at the time, and we've had a few easy games since, and we like keep saying we're playing bottom of the league, cannon fodder. So with Frank in charge, we might have beaten both 7-0. You don't know. And players are playing for the new manager. Alonso's getting a game now. He's suddenly perked up a bit. Some other players are out of sorts, but you're going to get this bounce up from a new manager, and give it 2 or 3 games, we might go and get turned over by Man United next week. And then he's the worst manager in the world again. So
to be fair, with Frank in charge, he'd have probably lost the last 4. So. Boyle, over to you, mate.
I just wanted to ask the Chelsea boys, with regards to N'Golo Kante, do you think he'll be at the club come the end of the season? Is he still sort of figuring? Because the geezer's phenomenal, like Premier League winner with Leicester.
Well, Tuchel loves him, didn't he? Didn't Tuchel come out when he came in and said he's the one midfielder he's always wanted to work with, or something?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what you boys thought on his future, whether do you see him there at the end of starting their next season?
Go on, Ops, you go first on this one, mate.
I think so. Like Tell said, I think Tuchel said he's tried to sign him for the last couple of clubs he's been at. So I think he likes him. And when he brought him on Monday, I think he tried playing him in a bit more of an advanced role, give him a bit of freedom to run about. I don't know if he's been a bit injured or sort of unwell or something, but he hasn't. I think he did have a hamstring injury or something a couple of weeks back. He's bringing him back slowly. But Kovacic and Jorginho have been playing quite well, so he's probably not wanted to break it up so much, to be honest.
Just going back to other Chelsea signings and players, I mean, spent big money on Ziyech and, well, especially Havertz. Like, do you think Chelsea needed to make those signings?
Yeah, I think we do. I think we've always had a lot of depth in our squad, and maybe we've got one too many at the moment. But I'd rather have one too many than not enough. And obviously, over the course of the years, you've seen we've had to let go of top quality players. I mean, you could pick on someone like Pulisic now or Ziyech and say they're not really getting game time for whatever reason. They could go somewhere else. They could go on to anywhere like Man United and go on and be a very successful player. And that's a risk you have to take. I mean, we've seen it with Salah and De Bruyne, but at that moment in time, they're not in that team. So it's a tough one. And sometimes you're going to let go of good players. So, but yeah, I think as a supporter of that club, I'd rather have the player
than not have him.
Than not have it. Yeah.
I think it looks like he'll be a good appointment for Chelsea. He's got a lot of experience already for such a young coach. And I just, as much as it pains me to say it, I just see Chelsea getting better. I think they'll slowly just kind of creep up there towards the end of the season because of the squad depth that they've got. They've got a lot of choice, and obviously there's a lot of games coming up. You're still in a lot of competition. So I think it will get better for you guys moving forward, especially towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did add that as well. Unfortunately, yeah.
Go on, Greg.
Just going back to your point, like obviously Ben's point, this is about the 15-year period that you've had where you've done this to managers, like let them come in, and even if they've won stuff, you've binned them. But that was with like your squad of old, where your squads of old were unreal. your squad at the minute, even though you've gone and spent this money, your squad, I personally think your squad at the minute doesn't even come close to some of the squads you've had previously, even though you spent this money. So it's like where you're at as a club, like, you know, you bought kind of Frank in to, the whole point was maybe to let him have a bit of time with this young team and that. But to then bin him off and then let Tuchel come in now. And it's just like, yes, you do that as a club, but did you really see that you were going to win anything anyway? So why not let him carry on? Or was he literally just the wrong person? As like, I don't, it's just, I know you do that as a club, but it's just, you know, this team isn't like the Chelsea team of old where you've been one manager, bring another one in and still go and win stuff. I don't see you winning stuff.
No, I totally agree, Greg, to be honest. I mean, especially from a personal level, I'd love to see Frank given the time he deserves. I mean, he was working with a very young group, and it seemed like we was all under the impression that he was going to get time to work with this group, and probably over succeeded earlier on. That might have been the downfall, the way we started well under Frank, and then this slips off. But that Chelsea have like kind of pressed the reset button. It's like they've given Frank that green light to start doing it. First moment or first signs of it not working, instead of being like, yeah, cool, we're going to give him another year, going to give him another 18 months. They've just gone, nah, see you later. And we probably won't. I mean, arguably we've got a good position in the FA Cup. We're probably not going to win any silverware this year. If we do, it'd be a huge bonus. But I wouldn't have thought that I wouldn't have thought it's Tuchel coming in that's made that difference. I think realistically we could have got to the FA Cup final with Frank, and I think
last year
he should have. Sorry, Spear.
Like last year.
Oh, fair enough, mate. Yeah, no, like last year, yeah. So exactly that, yeah. And Frank did get there, yeah, and he probably did over succeed in getting there. We probably shouldn't have got there and lost, should we, Spear? But it's unfortunate. And going back to what Greg was saying is, Chelsea have hit that reset button and they've gone back to the old ways very quickly. Like, yeah, and now they're in this situation where they've got a mixture of expensive players they brought in that there's a lot of demand for, and young talent, and they'll get to a stage where we're going to have to let some go here or there, like I was saying before. So it'd be really interesting to see how that pans out.
Well, it's like your team has got places to go, as in the players that you've brought in, they can get better. But I'm just thinking more on the Tuchel level. Are they going to get there while he's in charge, or is he going to get binned and then it's going to be another manager that maybe get in?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying as well. Yeah,
in 2 or 3 years' time, it'll be the next manager. I don't know if Tuchel's only going to get 18 months. He might not even get anywhere near anything out of this squad. It might be the following manager. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I know you do this as a club, but I mean, is he even going to get anywhere with this squad with the 18 months that he's got?
It is bizarre. It's very crazy because you're just not giving the manager time to work with the players, really, are you? I mean, especially on like an 18-month thing. But yeah, it's very difficult. But the trophies speak for themselves, and that's really where it lies. I mean, you can keep chopping the managers, and the trophies still keep coming in, and that's what's going to keep the fans happy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
They've only given him that 18 months waiting for John Terry to come back, mate. That's what that is.
Right, he's been brought in obviously to get the most out of our big money. So they've spent a fucking shed ton of money this summer, and he's been brought in for this 18 months to basically say, look, you've got this time to get the best out of all that wealth of talent, and if you don't, you're gone. Basically, we've spent all that money on them. If you can get the best out of them, if you can get us some silverware, you'll get another contract. But if you don't, next bloke, please. Basically.
Well, let's call that a night anyway, boys. With that one, we've covered all the games now that our teams were involved in. I just had a little glance over City, currently beating Everton 3-1 as well. So they're moves them 10 points clear at the top. So yeah, they look to be fucking unstoppable at the moment. We're going to have another episode before the end of the weekend, just like we've done before, boys. Run through the predictions, current standings, and our upcoming predictions for the games, and then we'll also cover our baller of the week and donkey of the week. Also tomorrow night, which will, well, when you guys listen to it, it'll be tonight. So Thursday night, myself and Greg are going on the stoop on the YouTube channel, which is guys from over the pond in America, Premier League fan show. He's got Lolo's introduced a new show called the Weekend Watch List, and basically, yeah, it's just like a little preview for the weekend's fixtures. Greg's going to be covering the Merseyside derby, and I'll be covering the Leeds Wolves game. So yeah, we'll call that a night, boys. Thank you for everyone for listening and watching. Obviously, we're over on YouTube now, so please like and subscribe to Only Football Fans channel on YouTube, and head over to our Twitter and Instagram pages at only_footy_fans. Yeah, until next time, guys. All the best. See you later.
Yeah.
Night, boys.